2025 Georgia property tax appeal season is well underway. Let me start off by saying that I have a script here, and because of time constraints, I apologize in advance that I have to look down, but there's a lot of information I got to get through quickly. There are lots of people who've been through the BOE hearing as of right now in December of 2025, but there's a lot more BOE hearings to be held, especially in the larger counties going into 2026. For those of you who've been through the BOE hearing and you're happy with the results, congratulations. Hopefully you got your 299C tax freeze and you won't have to deal with this for another 2 tax years. However, the one quick thing I want to tell you is be vigilant. The 299C tax freeze can be removed, even accidentally, due to dumb errors. Just be careful. Keep your determination paperwork or your settlement paperwork on hand just in case this comes up for you. Yes, it can happen through no fault of your own. For those of you who are not happy with your BOE hearing determinations, I've got good news for you. If you've got a copy of my book, you will know that there is a next step. You want to read the chapter on settlement conferences and appeal to Superior Court. To make it quick, what you need to do is submit your letter within 30 days after the BOE hearing saying that you want to appeal to Superior Court, and that's the only way you're going to be able to get to the settlement conference. Go to the chapter in my book and read up on it. This year, 2025, has been a little bit different because of Georgia House Bill 581 that was passed last year but took effect in January 1, 2025. What I've been doing since then has been doing my best to keep my ears to the ground of any weirdness due to the changes coming out of HB 581. Surprisingly, I haven't heard much. I haven't heard from people not getting their 299C tax freezes. However, let me just say, we are still in the midst of tax appeal season, and there's still a lot of BOE hearings to go. Georgia HB 581 made getting the 299C tax freeze a little bit more difficult, especially for the people who abuse the system. What they would do is file empty tax appeals, submit no evidence, and essentially no-show their way to getting their 299C tax freeze. It could be done prior to tax year 2025, but starting this year, tax year 2025, they can't do that nonsense anymore. That loophole has been closed down. As a regular viewer, you know that I encourage you to do your homework, submit evidence, fight for your value reductions. In other words, you show up and do what you need to do, so you only have to go through this once every 3 years. And for the people who are unwilling to do all of this work or make the effort, that's on them, and I can't help them, and neither can you. As far as I can tell, people who use my system, they go through the system that I have outlined in my book, there is a very high likelihood you're going to still get your 299C. Tax assessors are definitely not handing out 299Cs like candy. There's a certain amount of time, energy, and effort involved. You have to fight for at least a $1 reduction, which anybody can do if you show up and provide some evidence. I definitely don't endorse the no-show process. The next update I want to provide to you has to do with filing property tax appeals in rural areas. Nearly all of the tax appeals I've done over the years have been in metro areas. In other words, they are in cities where you can reasonably find comps. However, in rural areas, comps are really difficult to get. And when you do find comps, they're often a mismatch and they don't quite fit. So there's a lot of estimation and guesswork involved. My general feeling is your opinion about a particular rural property probably weighs just as much as what the chief appraiser believes your property is worth, and I would make a case for it. However, what I can tell you this year in particular, because I intentionally took on a tax appeal in a rural area. I wanted to find out for myself what it was like and just kind of go through the motions to get a feel of things. I have to tell you, there's a lot of things I want to share, but because the appeal is not yet over, I really don't want to say too much until that appeal has concluded. And the reason being is when I make these YouTube videos, you never know who's watching these videos. So I have to be careful what I say. But when it's over, you can be assured I want to share some insights with you. The one thing I can definitively say is appealing tax appeals in rural areas is a different animal. I've already discussed the comps issue, but it also has to do with the tax assessor's office. Sometimes a tax assessor's office simply is two people. So it's a whole different dynamic. And also the amount of resources they have is substantially less than the larger counties. So there's a lot to unpack there. And I've been able to pick up certain things, reading between the lines and listening very, very carefully. There are a fair number of people who live in rural counties, and I want to do my part to help them. Now, one thing I want to just get out there is you probably noticed that I haven't been on YouTube there very much this year. It's been very inconsistent, and I can tell you it is not intentional. It is something that has bothered me a lot. But the reason being is because I'm dealing with elderly parent with dementia issues down in Florida. So a lot of my time has been split between Georgia and Florida, and I've been trucking back and forth, taking care of things. I'm also looking into filing for guardianship down in Florida. I don't want to get too much into it in this channel, in this video, because I'm supposed to be talking about Georgia property tax appeals. That whole thing in Florida and dealing with elderly parents with dementia and the whole guardianship process in Florida. If you want to find out more, you want to subscribe to my main channel, the Matt Command channel. And I have to do an obligatory ask of how my cat Lexi wants you to swipe that like button to help share this video with other viewers. Moving on to the next topic. Ever since I've started posting videos about Georgia property tax appeals in 2021, there are people who directly email me. Now, for the record, I generally don't encourage people to email me because I get a lot of emails. However, if people email me, I expect them to have foundational knowledge. Because there's just no way that anybody who emails me, I can give them a personal tutorial on the Georgia tax appeal process. And that's why my website and this YouTube channel has a lot of free information. I even created a diagram and flowchart of the entire Georgia tax appeal process so that people can get a better understanding of the big picture. So when people reach out to me, I expect that they have some foundational knowledge. And the way I make sure that people have foundational knowledge is that I make them buy my book and read it before you email me your questions. But I have found that when people read my book, when they ask the questions, they ask really good questions. I mean, the questions are things that I have never thought about or scenarios I have never heard of. It challenges me a lot when some of you who read my book and you tell me about your situations and then I have to think about it. It's really amazing. Honestly, many people who reach out to me, they get into advanced areas. In other words, they are doing the BOE hearing and they're moving on to the settlement conference. And from my perspective, people who move on to the settlement conference, going beyond the BOE hearing, I give special attention to, and I encourage people to stay in contact because I want to hear their stories. And the reason being is the more I know, the more knowledge I can share and update my material so that everyone is better off for it, especially those of us who have to deal with this every 3 years. Now, I want to say that if you made it this far to the video, you are a dedicated viewer. Only the most vested people would listen to the video to this particular point. I really commend you. You are my type of people. Now, what I ask of you is if you like what I've been doing and you want to help the cause, you've already bought my book, which is great. Share my channel, recommend my website, have others read the free information so they can learn and then become part of the community. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is I'm looking to start a small private community of Tax Freeze Command members where I can share more information and insights that I can't do in public. On a YouTube channel, with a public video, there is some information I really can't share. It's too sensitive, or it involves people or particular offices, and I don't really want to call anybody out. As you might guess, I have to be careful what I say in these videos. In a private community, I can speak way more freely. I was thinking maybe we could do a periodic Zoom meeting. There are different thoughts I have. If you're interested, make sure you email me so I can reach back out to you once I decide to roll it out. Now, what I plan on doing at some point is sending out an email or a newsletter. Don't ask me when. These are things that are in the works. and I get to it when I get to it. But if I have your email address, I can certainly reach out to you. I will not spam you or any of this crazy stuff. But if you really want to stay in touch year after year with this Georgia property tax appeal issue and what's going on, definitely send me an email. Now let's talk about live streams. A few months back, I announced that I wanted to do a live stream. Unfortunately, a few months have passed by and nothing ever came of it, simply because I just didn't have the time and it just kind of became complicated. But I want to hear from you. And let me explain what happened. In my playing around with the live stream software, setting up a live stream within YouTube is actually quite simple. You turn on your video, you start talking. Like I'm doing now, I read the questions that you submit to me and I'll just respond to it, right? Except that that's not really my style of live stream. If I want to do it properly, I want to show you charts, I want to show you a web page, I may want to show you a graphic, I want to highlight certain comments and questions. That would be my ideal live stream, but it is more complicated and it is more expensive because I would have to subscribe to a different software like StreamYard or Restream. The problem with that is I don't live stream enough to justify the subscription. And this whole tax freeze command project, I can assure you, I'm not getting rich. Yes, I make some book sales and so forth, but it is definitely not a money-making endeavor compared to the amount of time and effort that I put into it. So it's a passion project, but I am looking to expand it further as time permits. The thing that I want to bring to your attention is, and I want to need your feedback, is that I feel like I have to announce a live stream. I also have to pick a time and day that most people can attend. Now, because the number of viewers and the number of subscribers is pretty small, I don't realistically expect to have 10 or 20 people. My thinking is if I get 5 people on a live stream, I'm doing pretty good on a channel of my size. But what I don't want to happen is have a live stream and there's nobody out there because of bad timing or people just not interested and I'm talking to myself on camera. Does that make sense? But I really want to hear from you regarding live stream. If you've got any ideas, again, I'm happy to do a live stream and I don't need that many people, but I think it would be a little bit fun and I think it would be a way for us to connect and get more information out there. Now, I will say, because of the Florida issue with an elderly parent with dementia, that really is a big part of my life now, and I got to work around it. So that's something that is always in the back of my mind, and it will go into 2026, and so you should be aware of that. But if you send me email, I generally almost always respond. Now, because this video has gotten a little bit long, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I really appreciate you listening and following my channel and subscribing to my channel. Leave me a comment below or send me an email. I want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And I have to do an obligatory announcement that Lexi, my cat, wants you to